Hello all and welcome to video classes by Konnur Institutes. Today we will be discussing the law of diminishing marginal product. So in the last class we were discussing about these terminologies, right? Three terminologies wherein these three are very important for us to understand the law of diminishing marginal product. So if you have understood these three terminologies in a good manner, then we'll head towards the law of diminishing marginal product. So these graph we have already discussed in the last class. Now what we have done is I have plotted these all the points in the graph. So before we understand what is marginal diminishing product, we will understand in a common context what exactly it means. For example, you have a land, we'll consider 1 acre of land, okay? When you have 1 acre of land and you have implemented one labor or a labor to produce an output, then is it going to be as effective as when you have labored more than one, right? So here keeping 1 acre as a fixed product, and we will be increasing the labor from 1 to 2, 3 and 4 like this, go on. For example, then what happens? So when you have one labor, what will be your output? And when you have increased from 1 to 3 or 3 to 5, what is the output you have received? So this changes makes us to understand better the marginal product. So marginal product always tells us about the additional input which you have introduced in the production process. So how much output you are going to get, that's what we are understanding here, right? So marginal productivity or marginal product what we have here has a certain important points to understand. When you have added one unit, one input to that, then you will then we can see that there is an increase in the output. And when another point is that when you have increased again in the input, then you can see that there is a slight increase in the output. But when you have increased too much of input, then you can see there will be a diminishing in the output. So that's what is law all about. So that tells us here, if you can see here, the marginal productivity has increased from 50 to 60, you can see that, right? The gradual increase in the marginal productivity. But at this stage, you can see that from 80, again it has become 80 here, and now you can see that there has been a decline. Here you can see there is a gradual decline. But when you come to the unit of 9, you can see that here the decrease in the situation of unit of 9 labor, you can see it's not gradual, okay? It has jumped too much down, right? So this is how the diminishing marginal product tells about. See, when you have increased the labor from 1 unit to 2 and you have increased it till 4, the marginal utility or the marginal productivity has been increasing constantly, right? But when you have increased one more labor, then you can see that there is a fall in the marginal productivity. And when you have increased too much of the inputs, then you can see there is a gradual and a larger dip in the marginal productivity. So this is what we have plotted here. Okay, so 50 is what it is here, 110, 180, 260, it goes like this. And here also you can see that the total productivity, which is the output, okay, of a firm. When you have utilized one labor, keeping in the mind that the capital is fixed or constant. So we are just changing this variable, the labor as a variable input. How the inputs have been increasing, you can see that the total product is also increasing, right? It is increasing in the nature in such a that if you go beyond this, it will come into negative, okay? So here from 50 to 110, there is a gradual, there is a high increase, and here there is also a high increase, right? So as you come here and here, you can see that here the increase is being decreasing. It's not that high as before, right? So you can see in the graph that the TP is increasing and a certain point it has reached. After this point, it cannot go up, but what it happens, it decreases. Okay, so marginal productivity or marginal product tells us as you go on adding one more additional input to the process, you fetch increase in the output, but not at all the time. It reaches a certain efficient level, so that after that efficiency or the optimum level, when the employment has been reached, then it has to decrease. So that's all about the law of diminishing marginal utility. There is another example which they have given in your textbook about a farmer. Okay, they have kept they have kept land as a fixed factor, and they have utilized labor as a variable factor. So they have taken 4 acres of land as a constant or a fixed factor, and when they have increased this labor from 1 to 2, how efficient are they going to get or make yield out of that, right? So for 4 acre, if we employ 1 labor, then is he going to get output as much as when we have employed 4 laborers for 4 acres of land? So you can make that difference, right? But when you go on adding more number of laborers in this only 4 acre of land, then what is happening? There is a crowd which is being building, right? We just have 4 acres of land and we are just going and building the number of laborers. Then the efficiency of that worker or the labor will be reducing. So that's a best example to understand for us how the diminishing marginal productivity happens. And one more best example what I can give here is if you have a burger shop, and if you go on adding the stuff, if you go on adding those stuff which is been stuffed in between the burger, if you add more and more, then the customer is he going to enjoy that burger more and more once if you start stuffing more and more in between that burger? No, right? So there has to be a limit so that the customer has to enjoy that, right? So that's how we understand the law of diminishing marginal product. So in the next class, we will be talking more on the shapes of the total product, marginal product and the average product curves. See you all in the next video class.